Hello, welcome to Higher Ground Gaming. This is Eric. Today we're going to do another board game unboxing. This is a game by Friedemann Friese, who created, perhaps you remember from Power Grid, which I believe we did an unboxing for on the channel. Possibly not. It was one of our first games in our collection, so I'm not sure if we did one back then. But anyway, that's what he's famous for. He did some other games too, but this is a game called Faiyum, which has some similar mechanics to Power Grid, but is a vastly different game overall. It's the same card drafting system generally. And this game, many so far have say it could rival Power Grid as one of his best games. There's a few that say might be even better. I'm not sure yet. Obviously, I hasn't played it. I have played Power Grid a few times and do enjoy that, but let's check it out and see what's inside the box, since this is an unboxing. So, Friedemann Friese Faiyum, and let's read a little bit about the strategy. So, it's I believe in German and in English, a bilingual edition. So, the strategy game from ancient Egypt from Friedemann Friese. So, roughly 3,900 years ago, the oasis-like basin Faiyum was turned into the granary for Egypt. As you, the advisors of Pharaoh Amenemhet III, have been commanded to urbanize Faiyum, you will be supplied with the necessary manpower, resources, and money, and everything you build is owned by the pharaoh. No matter though, as all of that matters for you is the pharaoh's respect. Faiyum is a strategic game for enthusiasts of planning games. You use a card mechanism reminiscent of deck builders and the market mechanism successfully used in Power Grid. Gain more and more valuable cards and use the structures built on the game board to increase your reputation. The most cunning advisor will win Faiyum. All right. So this is, let's see here. So Spiel Dirkus is the publisher. And let's see here. Yeah, there you go. So let's open it up. So it's got the green of Power Grid in the box. Very thin box, just like in Power Grid. So it's 1 to 5 players. So there's a solo version. 120 minutes approximately. Although I think with more players, it's going to run a lot longer than that potentially. And it's recommended for ages 12 and up. So without further ado, let's open this up and check what's inside. All right. Alright, so it's got both the German instructions, which is interesting. Doesn't really have a cover to it. It kind of just starts immediately with table of contents. But let's go with the English one. So it's got more than two languages. So it's actually got 4 different languages. So I'm guessing probably Italian, maybe Spanish, and of course English. Although I could be wrong. Let's see if we can figure out what languages are in here. So that's Germany, looks like. Not sure what that one is. Anyway, let's just go with the English version here. So Faiyum, idea of the game components. So the artwork is, I guess, kind of bland, but it's reminiscent of, to me, it's very historical, based upon Egyptian colors and shapes and everything back in the day, obviously, 3900 BC. But it definitely, I think the artwork is functional and it fits the game. Very good components. You have your grapes and your roses and wheat, I think, and grapes, I said, stone. So some basic resources. And ironically, it kind of uses dollars. Obviously dollars were not around then, but it does use dollars, and I do like the. It has a money similar to that of I can't think of it, pipeline. So it's like you'll see it's like rectangular money, and then it goes into the game board, the cards, all that stuff, how to play. So not very long directions, and it's got variants for the card market depending upon how many players there are. And then in the back, it's got a solo version, and it's a beat your own score to a certain degree, but it's also got certain goals you try to meet. I watched Jay play do it, and he reached the 150 reputation here fairly easily. But you know, when you get that, then you start checking off things here, and you get extra money and extra stuff, and your stuff goes up. So it probably gets harder, I imagine, as it goes on, or there may actually be a version on Board Game Geek by now. Since it came out in 2020, I'm probably sure there is, which maybe increases the difficulty a bit of that, and possibly adds an AI. I'm not sure. But anyway, so those are the instructions. So just see how many pages we get here. The pages are not numbers, but it's probably about 12 pages or so. All right, so let's take a look at the other components. So this is the money in the game right here. So just good quality thickness. Then these negative ones here, you put those on the market to decrease the price if they stay on the board for a period of time after somebody collects their cards back. And so you have 1s and 5s and 10s on here. And then these are for the scoring, so you have a 50 and 100. So, because the board itself goes up to 50 victory points on it, but then you can go 50 to 100, 100 plus above that. So there you go. So that's the one of the, wow, there's only one. That's interesting. Only one sheet for money in it, which is, I don't know if it's going to be enough when you get up to 5 players, but anyway, it probably is, I guess. All right, and then you got the game board, which again I like. It's very functional, very clean. There you go. So it's rectangular, so it's gonna stick out beyond this, and it's got the victory point track around the edges, and the on the right side over here, as you can see, it's got the market. So the 4 cards down below are going to be the current market. And 3, 4, 5, and 7 are the costs. Unless there's a discount token on it. And then the future market is above. So similar to Power Grid as far as that. Though I think the original Power Grid market is, it is 4 and 4. Now that I think about it, I believe. All right, and these components, if you've got Power Grid, not Power Grid, but if you have another Friedemann Friese game called First Sparks, and maybe another game, but very similar components to that. So I'll just show you some of the components. So stone kind of looks like home plate in baseball, somewhat, or a house. And then you have your grapes. Oh, just a little bit dark in here. And then you have your wheat. There's your wheat right there. And I think that's it. Now, the interesting thing about it is that, I think, and it alluded to it on the instructions in the back, that when you place workers on the map, to do certain things such as farmers and traders and things like that, nobody owns those workers. So those workers are not owned by any one player. So different players can interact with workers, which is kind of interesting. So they become neutral when they go on the board, and they serve various uses if you watch a playthrough video of them. But it's a very interesting mechanic, I think. So nobody owns anything on the map, not even the structures or anything like that. So you immediately score points after you've complete the actions on the cards if there are points to be scored or money to be gained or resources. So yeah, everything is immediately scored, and I believe at the end of the game, when the game end is triggered, after the game is finished, there is no end game scoring. It's all, I believe, done by the time the last card is played. So that's kind of neat. So there's no end game scoring, so you can kind of tell where you're at pretty much just by looking at the score track, which a lot of games, so much end game scoring, you can't tell, but in this game you can tell. So yeah, so a bag of components right here, and then you have some more components in here. So you have so those are basically resources and meeples. Here you have like different buildings, very basic shapes for buildings, like a L shaped here. You have your crocodiles, which are kind of neat. Sorry. So you have a bunch of crocodiles which will go in places, and part of the thing you have to do is before you can build or settle on a tile, you have to clear the crocodiles, in which certain farmers can do that. And these are the roses right here. And then you have these are blocks, cement blocks. Oh, they look wood probably, but for the temple, so you can build the temples. And then you have your fish, which is kind of, I think, kind of a neutral, well, it's not a neutral. The roses are a neutral resource, a wild kind of. And then you have your fish right here, which are used for some things. And I think those are the basic things that are, as far as the tiles go. So it's very generic looking, especially on the board. And then you also have, in this box right here, in this bag, sorry, you have your cities and towns and stuff, or settlements, I guess you call them originally. But these are just the settlements, just the round figures right here. And then by building stuff on them, you create different types of settlements, like towns, I believe, are created when you put like a cylinder on them. So that makes it a town. And then you have your wood right here. So these are often quite used as fences, like in Agricola and stuff. But in here, they're used as roads. So if you put a piece of wood in between two roads, between two tiles, that's considered to be a road. And I think that's it. Let's see if there's any other type of things. So yeah, that's pretty much what's in here, are just the cylinders. So these are stuff to build towns and settlements and then towns. Okay. All right, so those are pretty much the components part. Of course, you have your baggies, like, any modern game has, a bunch of baggies in it. And then here's the heart of it, are going to be the decks of cards here. And what's cool about these cards, besides the fact that the plastic's easily opened on them, they're pretty thin, but decent quality. And it's basic artwork, nothing special on them. Then you have your player aids here, which are in different languages, I think German and English. Here, looks like there's only one of each. And then player aids, kind of like show anytime actions, which they're not very useful, but this shows that money can be used as a resource. 3 money can be used as any resource, and then other things you can, if you don't want to play a card, you can turn it in put it in your discard pile for 2, not play the action on it for 2 money, $2 in here. So yeah, so it's just basic, nothing too exciting. But again, the heart of the game here is going to be the cards. And as you can see, they're numbered in the right corner. They have numbers on them. So the S means these are starter cards. And you have starter cards for the yellow player. So these, probably the only differentiation in the game between the players are, you get a set of 5 yellow players. Oh, actually, there are more player aids in there. They're just mixed in. And then you have your player aids and your cards for the green player. And then you have your player aids and cards for your purple player. And I'll kind of go over the basic cards that you get. That's how those are. And then you have your basic cards for the red player. I think there's one more, yep. And then your basic cards for the, looks like the white player. Yep, okay. And then the rest of the cards are all going to be like this. They're going to have the blue backing on. Well, I think some blue, and it might be two different colors because you have some end game cards here. No, it looks like they're all blue. Okay. But anyway, the basic symbology is you do the action up top, and green means you get whatever this is, in this case a rose, and red, if it's in red, it means that's what you have to pay. So it's pretty easy and basic, you know, kind of elegant. But let me just show you what the basic cards you get are. So in this case, as you can see, it's dual language. It's Bower, which is farmer. So pretty much what it allows you to do is it shows you just, it's pretty clear. You just take a figure, put it on a space that has nothing else on it, no other workers or anything, next to another farmer, if that's possible. If it's not the first one, you have to put it next to another figure on the board, or not necessarily another farmer, but another figure on the board that's already there, generic figure. And basically, you get whatever resource is on that tile. Like if it's either going to be wheat, stone, or grapes. In this case, those are basically the three main resources that are grown on those tiles. That's pretty much all that card does. And then this one is another. So you start off with three farmers. So the three basic farmers. You can get a senior farmer later, which gives you more resources. And then you have building a settlement, which are those red discs I showed you. And once it's cleared, so there can't be any crocodiles or anything else on it, but once that space is cleared, you can put a settlement on it. And this is where you have to pay a wood, a wheat, and a stone. I think you have to pay one of each. And again, you can substitute $3 for any one of those resources that's missing. So you pay one of each resource, and then here you get 3 victory points and $3. Again, dollars is the currency used in the game. Although dollars were not in Egypt, I'm 99.9% sure. And then here is the roads I showed you, which are basically the pieces of wood. So you can build up to 2 roads, it says here, between 2 undeveloped, I guess it's undeveloped, not unsettled, but undeveloped areas. And once they have the road in it, then they're developed. But you pay 2 of any resource. And again, those 2 resources that you pay have to be the resources that, any combination of the resources that are on the color of the land that, the hex is there. So for instance, if you have a grape here and a grape here, that's all you can do is pay grape. You have to pay 2 grape for each, to build 2 roads. If there's a grape and a stone, you can do any combination of 2, 1 grape, 1 stone, or 2 grapes or 2 stone. So, and then you get 3 victory points for building those 2 roads. So that's how that works. And those are your basic cards. All the other cards, which are all unique cards, these every player has the same set of starting cards. But these cards right here, which are going to come out, basically we're going to seed the market. There's going to be 8 cards in there originally, and it's going to go in order of the number here, as you can see. So 2, 4, and they're all even in here, and they go up to 128. So basically 64 cards in this deck. Now the reason I think they did every other card and the even cards is because probably to leave space for an expansion to fit in between. So because it would have to be some gaps in between, not just at the end. With new cards, so for the new cards to fit in an expansion, which probably is in the works, I'm guessing. But this is the gardener. So this, I'm not going to go through every card, but just a few of them. So this, you put a generic figure on it, and this is right near a river here. So he goes adjacent to a river, which there is a river running through it, as you can see right here. So, then you would get a rose, which is a wild resource. And then this one's a really good one. This one's a revenue card. So you basically play this card, and you get $5 every time. And again, there's only one of each of these cards. So, you know, if you really want it, you got to grab it right away. So this is the one right here where there's more than one of. This is the senior farmer. So the other farmers gave you one resource if you place them. You place it the same way as a regular farmer. And in this case, you get two of that resource. This is a hermit. So he doesn't like to be around anybody. So he's got to be all out and alone, but you get 2 victory points for that. So these are, the basic cards. Iconography is pretty clear in here. This one, you have to get rid of a card to sacrifice to get a victory point and 3 coins. So yeah, so these are all various cards, and the higher the numbers, you know, they're going to be more. And there's new settlements, which is a better version of the card that you have in your hand, which only requires 2 resources, and you get more stuff. This is some kind of a refinement, which I think you can trade resources one for another. Trader, if you put a generic figure on a settlement, then you pay a resource, and you get a wild resource for it. So yeah, so these are just all, this is a migrant farmer, suppliers, marketers. So there's all different kinds, and there's a thief, which is a really good one, which means you can steal cards from the market. It gives you free cards from the market, which can be very powerful. So yeah, so that's pretty much, this is using that L-shaped thing. This is to build a farm. So the farm you can build on a wheat space as long as it has a road in it. And then you have the same thing with a vineyard. You know, you put in the grape field, as long as it has a road in it and is a grape tile, you can build that. And then this one is a pit, which is stone pit. So yeah, they're all pretty basic. This one kind of is like an all-rounder. It's a smorgasbord. You can do one of 3 different actions. Yeah, so and this one is an expansion to a settlement. Fits right in there. And the resources themselves, I believe, are endless. It means, you know, they're unlimited. But the actual settlements, roads, town cylinders, stuff like that, those are all piece limited. So when they're gone, they're gone. Yep. So there's all these different kinds of cards that can do various things. So you'll up to a certain point, you'll keep these in the main deck, and then there's a separate deck, which I'm not sure exactly. I think it started here. As you can see, this is yellow. So this is a second deck right here. So this kind of is, once all the cards are out from the main deck right here, these will come out, and you'll play them in the you play them in the future market until 4 conditions come out: wasteland, heat, drought, and sandstorm, or wasteland, I think. But anyway, there's more than one of each kind. But once these 4 condition cards, like, you know, bad things happen cards, kind of like in the Bible, sandstorms, droughts, all that stuff. Once those things happen, then 4 of them come out. Then the game will end. And like I said, whatever the score is, it's a score. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is the inside of the box right here, very similar to Power Grid. And that's pretty much what Faiyum is. Very tactical. The more players, obviously, the more cards get taken away. In the solo game, there's not as much of that. But that's pretty much it. So thank you for joining me. It's been Eric from Higher Ground Gaming, and that's Faiyum. Bye-bye now.